Hello, this is my equation generator. I coded it using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, it can do a lot of things. When you start up the generator, it'll automatically go on easy mode. When you click the button which says Get Algebraic Equations, it will generate an equation, and it is very easy since all the main numbers are below 10. So if you've just started the realm of algebra, you can easily start picking up lots of key items. Of course, when you've done the equation, you need a way to check that you've done it correctly. So after finishing the equation, just hop over to this button which says Get Answers, and then it displays the answer. I've used a lot of math and a lot of trial and error, and finally concluded that the answer will always be correct. Of course, if you've been doing algebra for a long time and you desire a bigger challenge, all you need to do is hop over to the toggle bar at the top and click Medium. Now when you click the Get Algebraic Equation button, the numbers will be bigger. Now the numbers can go into the hundreds. And if you're a total maths geek and you really want to stretch yourself, click on Hard. Now the numbers can go even into the 10,000s. But of course, all of this wouldn't be possible without the good old HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So let's look at that. Over at the HTML side of the bar, you'll see that we have a lot of things called divs and inputs and labels and p and buttons, and in conclusion, it looks very confusing to the untrained eye. But actually, this is quite easy. At the top, you'll see that we have something called div class generator within angled brackets. All this means is that that class is holding the entire coding. So inside generator is the image of the whiteboard, the toggle switches, the buttons, the equation and the answers, and my name tag which says programmed by Viat. Below it you'll see button class. Button class means these two buttons which generate the equations. In button class you'll see button generate, and you'll also see button answer. Within those you'll also see something which says on click, my question, and then two brackets. These are called functions. Functions allow you to start a sequence of code when you activate it. You can activate a function in many ways, but in this example I activated it using buttons. So the function myQuestion generates a question. The function myAnswer generates the answer to the question. If you go down, you'll see PID. P is short for paragraph, and the paragraph in this case is the equation and the answer. They're not actually headings, they are paragraphs. Then you'll see input, label, input, label, input, label. All these are for is the three buttons at the top. So if we go through the format, at the top we have the whiteboard and everything in this piece of code. Below that we have the two buttons for the code, and then below that we have the code and the answer and the equation. Below that we have the code for the radio buttons at the top. They're called radio buttons because they work exactly like the old radios in the 1900s, where you could only click one button at a time. At the bottom of all of that, you'll see that my name is written programmed by Viat. It is also inside P, which is a paragraph. So if you look in the bottom right corner of the whiteboard, you'll see my name. So that's HTML. Now let's go into CSS. CSS is used 100% for styling and connecting JavaScript and HTML. So the top class over here is called button generate. button generator is the button which says get algebraic equations, and it shows all the style that's gone into making this button. For instance, the font is called Verdana. The font size is 20 pixels and it's bold. The color of the text is white and the background color is transparent, so that when the button is above the whiteboard, you will be able to see the whiteboard. The border is white and it's 2 pixels thick, and below that you'll see position and absolute, which means that it is absolutely positioned on the whiteboard. Underneath that you'll see button answer, which has almost identical code to the button generate. Button answer is, if you haven't already guessed, the get answers button. Below that you'll see a hashtag answer. Hashtag answer is the paragraph which says answer. It's much the same, and it says color white, font size 30 pixels, text align center, which means that the paragraph which says answer will always be in the middle of the page. Below that you'll see generator. If we go back to HTML, you'll see it says div class generator. In CSS it says the class generator. So everything in generator is everything in the code. For instance, transform scale 0.7, if you make it 0.2, then the whiteboard will be very small. If you make it 0.7, it will come back to normal size. If you're looking at this background URL, that is the URL for the picture. If we go down a bit more, you'll see another hashtag, hashtag question. That's the paragraph which holds the actual question which is displayed on the whiteboard. Below that, you'll see name tag. Name tag is where my name has been written, and it's almost exactly the same as hashtag question and answer because they're all the same font. And last but not least, you'll see label. A label is the font for the 3 radio buttons at the top. The color is cyan, the font family again is Verdana, and the font size is extra large. Now let's get to the nice part, JavaScript. JavaScript is what actually created and gave the answer to all of these equations. Now let's see to the top. At the top you'll see var x. Var x just stands for variable x, and variable means that you can change the number. So for instance, if I wanted to, I can change x from 0 to 1000 or 1 million. Then you'll also see var difficulty. So that var again means variable, so difficulty can be any number. When you write var, you're assigning 0 to x. Below that you'll see function. Function hard means that the difficulty is 30. Function easy is difficulty is 5. Function medium is difficulty is 10. Difficulty is again how big the numbers are. You'll see in brackets the number, and function can be called at any time. So for instance, when you click hard, then the function hard is activated and the difficulty is risen to 30. If you scroll down a bit more, you'll get to the part which actually tells the equation. Over here I have a lot of vars or variables. That's variable A, variable B, variable C, variable D, variable AE, variable F, variable G, and then variable A and S. If you see it all of them, you will see most of them contain math.floor, math.random, multiplied by difficulty plus 1. Math.floor, all it does is round up or down the number. Math.random generates a random number, and multiplied by difficulty can choose how big the number is. So if we go back up here, when difficulty is 5, then the random number generated will be multiplied by 5. When difficulty is 10, the random number will be multiplied by 10. Below that, you'll see that you have an if statement. if statement allow you to run a piece of code if a part of the equation has been fulfilled. For instance, if you can have an if statement like, if Susan has a cat, then buy cat food. If Bob has a dog, buy dog food. Just like here, if f is 1, then you want d to become a negative number. This all sounds very odd, but you'll slowly start to get it as we go along. If we skip the next 3 if statements, we'll come to the part where everything is shown. So it says c plus brackets a plus x plus b plus close brackets, etc. This is what you're actually seeing on the screen. You're not actually seeing numbers, you're seeing variables. So for instance, c is 30, a is the 5, b is the 18, d is the 14, and a and s is the 3751. E is the 21, and all the x's are just text. X does not really exist. Now let's go back up to the top. You'll see that if C is 1, then you want to turn C into 2. If A is 1, turn A into 3. If E is 1, turn E into 5. That's because in algebra, you never want the number in front of x to be 1. And these are the numbers in front of x. For instance, C or E is the number in front of x. And you never want to have 1x. So then if E is 1, you change E to a number which is not 1, for instance 5. Now we come down to function my answer. Now if you'll see that it says document.getElementById. ID is the identification code of any block in HTML. So if we come down here, you'll see that we have a PID answer, and we go back down to JavaScript, document.getElementId answer. Then it says .inner HTML. So then whatever you type in JavaScript will be transformed into HTML. You'll see answer x equals in speech marks plus x. So x is the actual answer. The answer is calculated before the equation, and then everything is formed on top of the x. So you don't actually have to ask the computer to solve the equation. It's already had an answer and generating random numbers to go with that answer. So the answer is already calculated. That's why if you click the get equations number and get answers button at the same time, there'll be no delay because the answer is already calculated. So that was my brief explanation on this equation generator. I hope you like it, and I will go into much more detail in future videos. Now if you want to get into this equation making, it's very simple. Simply go to CodePen, and then I will post this very soon. You search CodePen and search for equation maker, and it'll come up. So, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!